So I'm watching X Files from like way back in the day. I love sci-fi. So I'm watching an episode where they touched sacred ground. They were digging. They had Caucasian excavators using native people to excavate an area, and they found a broken jar, a giant, well, I can't even call it a jar, a container that had a body in it. And it was a sacred person, a shaman, a female shaman. And the guy said to the Caucasian, hey, I don't think we should touch this because, the natives said it's sacred and, we'd be defiling the land and yada yada. And the Caucasian said, screw that. We came here to get artifacts and we're saving the artifact. We're not defiling it. Now he's getting clawed up now. So so the natives dug up the land. And I'm not going to go into the rest of the episode, but the point that I wanted to make is there's a lot of karmic shit that we dealing with that could be because our job is to listen to someone who does not practice the same practices morally, spiritually, mentally, physically, culturally that we do. And we understand our traditions. We understand why we do things a certain way. And it's passed on to generation for a reason. Because now we're in a time when excavators, contractors, whatever you want to call them, are digging up sacred land here in the Americas. And we were forced into making a choice with only one choice given, which is come here and do your job and you get paid. If you don't do your job, then you might get killed. So we go against nature, tradition, cultural traditions. We go against our beliefs. We go against our morals, our principles, and do something that now karmically, generationally, we're going to have to pay for because one ancestor made a decision, my life or digging up this artifact. And even though some of them may have did rituals asking for forgiveness, forgiveness may not have been given. We can only hope for the best. But if spirit says, don't you touch my shit, don't you touch my shit, I said what I said. And then they had all the ancient people, looking around at this person and everybody drank, but the person that defiled the tradition ended up choking on the drink. So I say all this because there's a lot of things that we deal with karmically that we are not we don't have full knowledge of until you start delving into spiritual practices that help you to be more in alignment with cultural traditions, cultural, spiritual ways of being, as we elevate into our divinities. And yeah, there's some ties to be paid. I talked about that before when we lose money or if we lose, our the things that we bring value to. When we lose them or have to give them away without receiving anything reciprocal back, it's called paying your tithes for karmic debt. Sometimes it's going to cost thousands of dollars. Sometimes it's going to cost some blood. Sometimes it's going to cost a life. Because again, we're not following our traditions. We're following uncultural people that do not practice or believe or care about what's important to you. So in your life, in your journey, in your trials and tribulations, in your karmics, karmic practices, not even practices, in your karmic debts. Yeah, keep that in mind when you're doing rituals, asking for forgiveness for what my ancestors may have done that I am still doing. Because though they did it in a past life, you're still doing it in this life. How many of y'all got jobs that morally don't sit well with you? I worked in the medical field. I worked in the dental field. I did a lot of shit that holistically I'm like, that was wrong. That probably wouldn't have been the best choice. But it's my job. And morally, I'm like, there's certain dentists I would not have touched my mouth if my mouth was bleeding from my teeth. There was no way I was going to have this person touch my mouth. But I had to stand by and watch them massacre other people. And I kept silent, knowing that there was a butchery job done or some inhumane practice done. And I did. Okay, so how many generations of us are still doing these practices? And how many of us are standing for what's right and saying, screw you, then I quit. Nah, I ain't doing this. And letting that person know, hey, if you ever need me to testify, okay. So these are things that we have to think about. Okay, what are we morally doing now that generationally is because somebody made a bad decision? And at some point, somebody's going to have to change that. That's why I do what I do, to change all the wrong that was done so I can transcend from this plane debt free. So my seed up there doesn't have to pay for all the stuff that we did. Okay, so we can start, having our kids live a better life. So just from that little scene that I saw on the X-Files. I hope that resonates for you all. Peace and blessings. Enjoy the rest of your day.